When you're messing with overlay stuff, I like to use the composite panel. The beat starts ramping up, so I'm going to ham at this point. Adjusting clips are your best friend. We're editors. If we're not practicing and experimenting, what are we doing? I did a more square aspect ratio 4:3 because all this content was shot vertically. So instead of trying to fill a 16:9 screen with 9:16 footage, I figured it might be easier to try to fill a 4:3 screen or aspect ratio with the 9:16 footage. So that's really why I did it. When you're messing with overlay stuff, I like to use the composite panel because instead of just doing like opacity down, which you can do, but you kind of lose a lot of the detail and what's there for the video, you can go through and select different options. So yeah, multiply, overlay, pin light, and you just see what the effect looks like and what it's doing to your video. I did the same thing with the subtle scratches. If you look, you can kind of see like here in the corner, and you'll see this all over the video, like scratches and dust will like pop up on the screen. But when you use this, you're gonna have to either put your opacity on or use one of the overlay settings because it's a black screen that has this dust effect happening. So you can't see the layer underneath. So you could do opacity, but I didn't want to do that because you lose. Now I see the screen now, but now you don't really see the scratches. So to keep the scratches, that detail there, and be able to see what you got underneath, you can just basically do. You can basically just pick one of these options, and each one, so like it'll affect it in some kind of different way. So you gotta like choose what you want. And that's why, for me, in this situation, screen worked out. This is, as you can see, the 9:16 frame. It's a still shot. There's no movement on it. I added all that in post, cropped it on the image. I used some of the transition packs from YC Imaging. Did some stuff to the text, turned it vertically, added some camera shake to it, I believe. Doubled it, just doing some different things to try stuff. The music breaks, so I was trying to emphasize the word pride that comes in. Beat drops again. See the camera motion there. This is what it looks like without the effect. That's like some scan lines that are there. So that's actually built into Davinci Resolve. You go over to here to open effects, type in scan, drop it in. You can play with the bars, move them around, how sharp it is, the frequency, the angle, the shift. You can mess with all that stuff. This is one clip right here that I basically doubled and flipped it to create this mirror effect. As you can see, that clip is gone there, and that's one there. So the same video clip, I just stacked it and flipped one, and you can just do that by coming over to transform, and you can see where it says flip. You can take it off, and that's how it was originally, and this is how it is once I did that. And I just had an adjustment clip on top to do the zoom effect on both without having to program that, because that would have been annoying. But this adjustment clip has it. Take it off, this is what the image looks like. And if I take this, like if I take one of these off, this is what it looks like. That's all this video is. This is an example of trying things out, seeing what helps. I use it as a transition. It starts here, comes in, and it carries us right into the next clip. And you see that it's still some here in the carryover. 1, 2, 3, boom. Now we're in this one. Do it again. I wanted to cover up the punch in and decided to grab another overlay from Tropicolor. Another one of the black and white transitions to go into that. And it actually kind of helps. It's like from color to black and white. Same thing here. You can see it bouncing like that. That's not how it was originally. I added camera shake and I just put it to that adjustment clip. So I added that to everything. And then here I just wanted to punch in, just to accentuate that motion. Then do the little effect with the hand there, just follow the hand going. It's very simple things. It's just you punch in, you find what you want to do, accentuate it. And I was like, oh, he does a little hand walk. That might be a cool thing to focus on. And I just follow the hand over like that. So it's cool. I like doing that kind of stuff. It's fun. I keyframed it. If you were wondering how I did it, I just keyframed the motion. Dynamic zoom, man, it's clutch. You guys should use it if you're not using it. Dynamic zoom is really clutch. You can keyframe it, but if you like watch my other video, you can kind of see the reason why you would want to use a dynamic zoom versus just keyframing it yourself. And it feels it feels organic. That's what I like about the dynamic zoom. Davinci Resolve did a good job with that. And adjusting clips are your best friend. Camera motion here, because if I wanted to kill it, I can just boom, and it's gone. I don't have to go into the clip, into the effect, and I love this part. The beat starts ramping up, so I'm going ham at this point. Just like he's going, I'm cutting. So there's a bunch of like me cutting these clips in different framings. I'm going tight on some, popping out. I'm just kind of doing it randomly on the beat in some case. I think I am doing it on the beat, to be honest with you. And then like I'm choosing different. It's the same. It's different parts of the film burn, like the film burn that he has, that Tropic Color has in there. But I'm doing different overlays. Like this one's pen light. This one is the luminosity. This one is add. This one is hard mix. This one is hard light. So if this video should show you anything, go in and experiment. You know that you have things that do certain things. Like I know that I've messed around with compositing before. I haven't necessarily used compositing in this way before, but I know what the composite tool can do. So you just play with it, experiment. We're editors. If we're not out here playing around and, you know, practicing and experimenting, what are we doing? So you can't just assume that you're going to learn one trick and know how to do everything. You have to learn a trick and then apply it to different situations. Try it out, mix it up, you know, have fun, enjoy it. I'm not necessarily waiting till I get paid to edit. You know, this was he didn't pay me to do this video. We shot a social media clip and I decided to try to make a music video out of it if possible. I said, hey, let's see if it works. If it doesn't work, it's cool. I was able to create something out of this and came up with some cool stuff. I didn't take that out the box and just put it on, like, because I didn't say like, oh, this is what it looks like, so I'm just going to go with the regular normal look, and now let me pull the opacity down and then just do that, which would have been fine. But I wanted to really like mess around with it. I love that. Like, that looks like some mixed media type art stuff going on there. So that's another thing that's cool is you see here it's underneath the clip when I'm rolling on the vertical, and then I put it on top of it. This is subtle stuff. It's the same stuff you were just seeing behind it, and I just threw it on top. But I didn't do any camera motion. I just had the shot locked down on sticks because we knew that in post we were going to want to like play with it. So there's a couple different ways to do this. I guess the traditional way would be to use keyframes to do your motion, which all you're doing basically, let me close that out in that there. Really all you're doing is doing it in your transform panel under the inspector. So, you know, you got your stuff over here, so you can just go over, click on inspector, go to transform, and this is where you can zoom and reposition things. So really quickly, something I like to do is when I do camera motion, you can just do it on the clip, but a little trick I like to do is if I know I'm going to be redoing stuff a lot. So what you would do is just come over to effects, make sure you have that click and that is highlighted, toolbox titles, you go down to effects, and I have it starred. So I think it does pop up here even if it's not starred, because I have my favorites over here and I use it a lot, so you can grab it from either spot if you have it saved to your favorites. But I like to do the programming of the camera movement in an adjustment clip because I can always easily grab that adjustment clip and drop it anywhere on the video clip without having to punch in those keyframes again every time, because that would get annoying. This is not something you have to do. You can skip this step and you can do it directly on the video clip, but adjustment clips can do some weird things with your resizing and stuff like that, so just make sure you're paying attention to that. So like I said, this is a case-by-case basis. You have to know that this would work for you. If all else fails, just do what I'm showing you directly on the clip, because you won't have any problems. You just have to manually punch in those keyframe commands every time. But anyway, I like to do that on a adjustment clip. So let's just say I want to start here. One thing you can do is just kind of like, let's say from here to here, so I want the motion to happen. What I can do is set the motion to do what I want it to do. I can go to the end of the adjustment clip. I'll mark it. So you want to hit the diamonds here, and that's how you start the animation of your keyframes. And then I'll come back to the beginning, and then what I'm going to do, a little quick way of doing this, you don't have to drag everything back to the beginning. If you double click on this, pretty much works for most things in the inspector panel. But if you double click on the words like on zoom, it'll put it back to where it was originally. You see, it went back to 100, and then on your position, double click, it goes back. But when you did that, it set the keyframe animation start point. So that's a easier way of doing it. I just like to start at the end. Like, I know what I want the animation to do, so I set it so I can see everything I'm doing. I set that at the end with the keyframe, go back to the beginning, hit reset. Like that. Don't hit reset over here, because if I hit reset here, now everything went away. Now I lost everything I just did. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do that again. I'm just gonna, I know where I want my endpoint to be, so it just kind of makes it easy. So I'm just gonna do that. Maybe I want him to be centered up here. Just pop up your little your guide frames and things like that. Put that away. So I have the end point set. So like I said, I'm going to go to where I want the endpoint to finish at. I'm going to click on the diamonds next to zoom and next to position. Now the endpoint is set. Go back to the beginning. I'm going to double click on zoom. That set the animation start point for the keyframe, and I'm gonna hit double click on position, and that just did the animation start point for the position. So now when I hit play, you see the camera motion is happening. Another way to do it, if you're just doing something like that, like a basic push in, you can totally do it that way. That's like the traditional way of doing it. But I like to do it with dynamic zoom, which is a cool tool that's built into Davinci Resolve, and it's like perfect for these types of situations. So what you would do is, in your inspector panel, it's underneath of transform and cropping. You would come over here to the little switch for dynamic zoom, click it on. When you do that, it automatically does a zoom motion by default. It has a default motion that it does, but it does it over the entire clip. So if you wanted it to only do it in one section, like I did with the adjustment clip, you could actually do your dynamic zoom on your adjustment clip too. So that's little things I like. That's why I like to use the adjustment clips in that way, because it's easier to set where you want the stop point to be. So you can, it is doing this animation. It's just very slow because it basically is spread out over the entire clip. You can come over here at the bottom of your viewer here, and you'll see this box. This is like highlights, that's the transform. But if you hit the drop down arrow, you'll see all the different options you have. Come to dynamic zoom, and you can see what I'm gonna do is swap, because the green is like the start point, red is like the end point. So what it's doing right now is zooming out, which is cool, but I want to do a zoom in. So back over here under the inspector panel, dynamic zoom, you hit swap. Once you hit swap, now you can watch it's easier to, I zoomed in so you can see that. You can see it pushing in, it's very slow, but let's say I wanted to go faster than that. I could push in more dramatically, and then we'll zoom back out. Wait a minute, what am I doing? So you can see that it's sped up some. It's still such a large area for it to cover that it's going to take it a long time to get there. Now, if you wanted to just steadily zoom in the whole time, it could do that, and you can set it, and it's like it's going to do the entire clip. It's going to go and go and go and go and zoom in on what it is you want it to hit, which is totally cool if that's what you want, but you don't really have a whole lot of control there. So what you would have to do would be to do an edit point on your clip like that, and all of what I just did is still programmed. So it's going to do that same exact motion I set, but it's going to do it a lot faster because it has a less time to travel. So you can see it's doing the same thing I had before, but now it's moving way faster. And then this might not matter, because if you're doing like a project that has multiple cuts, let's say you're going to put this here. Now you covered it up, so it doesn't matter if you see it or not. But see how fast that went. So that is an option. And if you don't want it to do all that, you can obviously reframe how this works. I can slow it down. So basically it's like the less distance it has to travel, you can kind of see like I'm pushing it. I wanted to zoom in that much, or I don't want it to zoom in that much, so I'm bringing my end point closer to my start point. So, you know, just kind of how you can view it, so it's not too complicated. And now it's going to push in slow, but it's like it's doing it because it doesn't have as much time to travel. You can do that way. Let's just say I just don't want, I can just go ahead and reset all that. And then take the dynamic zoom off. And I'm going to turn that off and turn that off there. Because like I said, when you pull that dynamic zoom in, it automatically does its animation. So let's just say I wanted to do, I'm going to keep that one and grab another adjustment clip. I'm going to change the color on this so that way we don't get confused as to which adjustment clip is which. And then we'll just make this one a different color too for the fun of it. We'll just make it pink. Alright, so now this one, let's say I want to do the same thing, but I'm going to do the dynamic zoom on the adjustment clip instead of the video. Again, you don't have to do this. It really depends on your situation and what you're doing, but it might help you out. Seriously, depends on what you're doing. It's just an idea, because basically I can grab this and copy it throughout the clip if I wanted the same type of motion for the same amount of, because I can control the timing by how long the clip is. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm gonna swap. And this is like its full animation endpoint. This is its default endpoint. And let me do this so it doesn't get too confusing. So as you can see, it's pushing in, it's going, and we're going, and it's gonna keep pushing. Let me do its thing. And that was that. But let's say you wanted it to go, let's say you like that, but you want it to do that faster. I could do this. And it's still pushing in. It's just going a little bit faster. Get there even faster. See? So that's kind of how, like, if you do this, you're controlling the speed at which it gets to where you want it to get to. There's probably better ways of doing that. I wouldn't necessarily suggest it this way, but you could do that. You could totally do that, and now you don't have to really think about it. You have the default, but you're like, I like that, but I want to have a little bit more control, and I want it to zoom in further. So basically, however long you want the zoom to last, that's how long I would zoom. That's how long I would drag the adjustment clip out for. But let's say you're like, no, I want it to zoom in faster and closer, but it needs to be this long. Then I would go in. I just zoom in a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. And let's just say you wanted to push into a close-up on his face. And then, let's see if that did it. Hold on, let me reset, go back to fit. Let's see if that. All right, let me just push that in a little bit more. I can kind of do the same thing I did before. It's weird how this works. But let's push it a little bit more. Let's see if that, oh, I went too much. Pull it back down, let's see. Okay, I think that'll do it. Okay. So I wanted it to last on that whole thing, and then you see like it's also pushing in and going up because we're framing in for his face. Again, do whatever this is not a right or wrong. You can do it however you want to do it. And let's say you're like, nah, I want to really, really, really get in there. So I could kind of like reframe that even more, and I kind of saw where I was at, so I just play with it. Let's see where we're at now. But nah, I still want it. But now you're like, okay, now I'm over too much because I overcompensated it for a little bit too much. You just kind of slide it back over, come back out, slide it back and forth there, go back in. Make sure that fits. Go up a little bit more, get his head in there. And you just kind of finesse it and play with it. So I will say that it's easier to have more control over what the zoom is doing with. So if you wanted to do the zoom how I'm doing, you can totally do it this way. But this might be a situation where it could be better to use the first method I showed you, because it's a little easier to have more control. But here's the motion now. We're playing it through, and this is what it's doing. And I like how the camera, how it does it, because it does feel like it's a camera move. I'm gonna show you one more where you can do this. And again, I just like doing adjustment clips, because this is actually a good way to create transitions and things. If you wanted to have like quick zoom ins for more like cooler effects and not something more cinematic or smooth, what you would do, come over to effects, type in the transform. No, it's not in there. It's in open effects. Yeah, you would come over to open effects, type transform. It's pulling up, grab it, drop it into your adjustment clip. You can also just drop this directly on your clip. I just like to set it up so that way I can reuse that clip, that same animation throughout, without having to redo it every time. That's why I use adjustment clips. But the reason why I say to use a transform, if you want to do a faster zoom, is because, I mean, you can even do this if you're doing the slower zoom like I did, but you can control motion blur. So let me come over, where is it? Advanced options. Okay, here we go, animation. So yeah, motion blur. So you can control how intense you want your motion blur to be, but I'm just gonna do a quick little push in. So let's just say I want this push in to be like 5 frames. I don't want it to be that long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clicks. So this is going to be like a quick like zoom in on something, and this would be a cool way to do a transition, because you could zoom in and zoom out. We're just going to do it like a quick push, but we want it to look like it's like motion blur, like it's actually a camera doing it. Having motion blur just kind of is a good thing to have when you're doing videos. Just gives things a little bit more what's the word, I guess, organic feel to it. It doesn't feel so sharp and crisp, or it doesn't feel so mechanical. I guess is another word you can use. Again, same type of thing like we did before. I'm going to set where I want the endpoint to be first. I messed that up. We need to zoom, because X and Y is a little bit different now. I mean, it's different because position's first, but you want to go to zoom, and we're just going to zoom in right about, let's just zoom in close, because it'll be like that'll be like kind of a cool effect to have in the music video, like a quick push in, you know, if you want to have some cool like camera animation and things like that. So I'm going to set that to the end, and then we're going to go back to the beginning and do the same thing I showed you before, double clicking, and this is what that looks like. So the only thing I thought about, well, no, it's fine, I'll just leave it. So they'll do that, boom. So it's kind of cool, like, oh, that was kind of cool. Let me pull some of this back so you can see a little bit better what's happening. We're gonna go to half. Doesn't look as crappy. So you see that little, it's like, oh, that was cool. You know, you can see that in the music video. Cool little punch-ins and stuff like that, which is fine. But there's no motion blur. It's like all very static in sense of like, I'm starting here, I'm going here, and it's pretty mechanical. There's no blur, and usually, you know, you move your hand like this and you're looking at it, you're seeing motion. So, you know, it's not like it's this crisp, oh, how I'm looking at it right now, I'm seeing every finger, everything's super smooth, go from here to here. But when you do it fast, there's some type of quick motion. So it's like motion, it's creating motion blur, which, you know, it just helps things to feel more natural, more organic in your brain. You know, it just feels better. That's just the best way I know how to say it. It just feels better. And it's not as amateur looking. So you click on animation. Let's just crank the motion blur extreme. You can already see what it's doing. So the problem with this, which is actually, no, it's not a problem, because it knows, the program knows to cut it. So you don't have to, you could do this a different way. But if you use the transform tool, the program actually knows to stop the motion. It's not going to stay blurry, so I'm trying to get at. You don't have to animate the blur, which is a cool thing. But you can see the lights, everything's like super extreme. So let's go back and watch it again. That just felt so much better. You're just like, oh, That felt crispy. I ain't gonna lie, that felt mad crispy. It's not crispy because we added blur to it, but it feels crispy, if you know what I mean. So, I'm about to use that in the video now. But like for music videos, man, that stuff will look mad dope. What's the word I think I'm looking for is it just settles you into it. It just makes it believable. It sells it. You know, it just makes it more immersive and makes it believable. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them down below in the comment section. Leave a like if you liked the video, and be sure to subscribe for even more tips and tricks like this. Until next time, peace.